Hello, everyone. This is a reprise of a talk I gave 5 years ago, 2017, which was an enrichment session for Edgewood docents. And that time we didn't record it, so now we're recording it. A little different, although pretty much the same subject. I'm Carolyn Curtis, and I'm the founding president of the Friends of Edgewood Natural Preserve. And before that, I was the spokesperson and organizer for the Save Edgewood Park Coalition, which existed from fall of '91 to summer of '93. And at that time, I was also the Northern Conservation Chair for the local chapter of the California Native Plant Society. I later went on to be chapter president. But anyway, that's how our chapter had sort of adopted Edgewood years before. We had set up a docent training program. I was one of the people in the original class of docents, heavy on the plants. A lot of the geology we told people about, all of the good old serpentine lore. And a lot of us knew birds and other critters. So we brought that in, and we gave free docent talks on weekends to people. And of course, we were worried about it not staying the beautiful place we knew it to be, because we knew there was a plan for a golf course. This had been sort of pushed back in the 80s, and then it reared its head again in '91. So in the 80s, we had sued, actually, the county over a defective EIR, Environmental Impact Report, saying it's wrong here, here, and here. And so we settled out of court, the Native Plant Society. When the Native Plant Society sues people, or entities, it's the state organization that does it, not the chapters. But the chapters are the ones that do the legwork, of course, such as our chapter, the Santa Clara Valley chapter, I should say. So anyway, there was that effort. They were getting signatures on petitions in the park down at the visitors center level, and also up at the Sunset entrance. And they collected 4,000 signatures and presented them to the Board of Soups, who shrugged them off. And then they did a whole lot of background investigation, scientific, legal, who owns it really. Actually, it was the property, as you probably know, was acquired in '67 from San Francisco by the state college system, possible college site, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, it was bought by the Land and Water Conservation Fund, which is federal, put up half the money. The county put up half the money, and Mid-Peninsula put up a quarter of the money. And Mid-Peninsula put up a quarter of the money. So the county didn't really pay for it. They paid for a quarter of it. And that was something we kept stressing, is the Land and Water Conservation Fund says you have to use it for such and such and not this and that. So that was that struggle in the 80s. And then it quieted down after we settled out of court with them, and started up again in '91. And that's when we saw it as a real threat, because they weren't taking no for an answer, the golfing interests. The golfing interests were quite local. Some of these people could see Edgewood from their windows, apparently, and dreamed of it being a beautiful, flat, expansive golf course. So, and we'd been leading wildflower hikes in there, so we did not. And Suzanne Summers, who was a pioneer in this, she was renting a place around the corner from the Sunset entrance, actually, and kind of discovered it and turned the chapter onto it, joined the chapter, learned botany enough to make a plant list, the original plant list, and discovered in the process that some of these were listed plants, rare, federally listed, state listed, CNPS listed plants that were rare. And one of them only grows here, actually two of them, if you count the part on the triangle. So anyway, yeah, it was worth fighting for. It was worth doing something about to keep it from just being, like slice the top off this hill and stuff it in that canyon kind of thing, which was the plan. So she knew, like this, she'd stand on a beautiful wildflower meadow and say, this is the 14th tee. We would all go. Anyway, so we found out that the Board of Supes was going to have it on their agenda. They met on a Tuesday in the daytime. And we went there and were aghast because all 5 supervisors voted to fund a golf course study at county expense, at taxpayer expense. So we thought, we've got to do something about this. Let's get organized. We had a meeting of, maybe 20, 25 people. And and many of us were in more than one organization. Like a lot of CNPS people are also in the Sierra Club and or Audubon and or Committee for Green Foothills, et cetera. And so we brainstormed, we obviously will have all of the environmental organizations with us on this. We did before, but we were going to start an official coalition, which hadn't been done before. And we brainstormed who else really cares about this place. And we thought, well, photographers and runners, we see them in there all the time. Equestrians, we see them in there. Local people, homeowners associations. There were 3 of them around here. We did not know this. Other sort of smaller environmental groups like Bay Area Action, which became Actera eventually. Various local ones. Also, we even thought about high school enviro groups, which existed. We knew they were out there anyway. So it was just a matter of finding these people and telling them about Edgewood and what was going to happen if we didn't organize. So it turned out a lot of the people in that room already had the contacts, and it was just a matter of following up on them. So we started out with about 20 organizations in the coalition, and it grew to 41 by the time we won in '93. So what did we ask of coalition members? These are organizations. No money. You do your own publicity. We will supply you the materials. You distribute it however you distribute things to your membership. Tell them that there's a Board of Supervisors meeting coming up and at such and such a time and place. If you're going to write letters to the Board of Supervisors, here's how to do that. So we supplied them the materials, the wherewithal, and it was up to them at their own pace. Nobody checked up on anybody to get the word out to their members, and their members were considerable. Every time there was a Board of Supes meeting on this subject, I would go down there with the latest list of course I don't have it at my fingertips, the latest long list of members of the coalition and say, well, we're up to 30 members and the combined membership is 200,000 people. And their heads would kind of snap. Another thing we did at Board of Supes meetings was show pictures of Edgewood. And these were not little snaps. These were 14 by 18 photographs, not posters. Suzanne Summers was a very talented photographer, and she supplied these. These are, professionally printed on photography kind of paper. And I have 2 of them. She gave us 4 in very lightweight frames so we could flash them around. I only have the 2 that have been hanging on the wall of our house. So we'd show this to the Board of Supervisors, and then we would turn around and show it to the audience, and they'd go, ah! And there was a reporter, Cindy Chornis, I'll never forget it. She said, where is this place? And we said, 3 miles from here as the crow flies. The City Hall, of course. We also wore, when we went to Board of Supes meetings, all of our volunteers had these. So they knew, they look out in the audience and see all of these. So lots of them. John Allen, who was one of our earliest volunteers in the Native Plant Society weeder at Edgewood, designed this. And this is the Clarkia rubicunda, the Farewell to Spring. And also for morale, we had bumper stickers, which I hope I have here somewhere. Dean Struthers, who also was a chapter president and a docent, etc., designed these. So now and then you would see one on 280, which was kind of fun to do. And we, the thing is, we knew we had all these people who cared about Edgewood besides just the tree hugging groups. So we thought, we'll tell them that the Board of Supes is going to decide the fate of Edgewood. And we went down there with information saying, did you know that the Board of Supes is voting on whether to turn Edgewood into a golf course? And people would say, over my dead body, and have they heard of recall? And so we thought, wow, boy, does it have a constituency. That's when we started to organize, get the groups in on the coalition. But we also wanted to get ordinary citizens who care about the park, who used it, who were there a lot, and have the Board of Supes listen to them, and also have the press listen to them. So for the Board of Supes meetings, we would hand out at, down there at this, the Edgewood entrance, Edgewood Road entrance, and the Sunset entrance. We would have volunteers at each one. With a handout that had the time and place and everything on it. Never a script. People spoke from the heart. We never even suggested what they might say because we knew everyone would have a different story anyway. That's even better than a script, far better. So it was just a matter of getting the word out to them, which we did one-on-one. Like, have you heard? We wouldn't say, hi, I'm da-da-da, can I have a minute of your time? We would say, have you heard that da-da-da? And, you know, it didn't waste any of their time on that. We also quickly drafted a petition, and it was very simple. There's two kinds of petitions. One of them is the legal kind to get something on the ballot, where you have to have registered voters, maybe in a specific area, if it's a local, citywide kind of a thing. And then the other one is just the citizens type petition, which is something like this, like that. And I'm keeping this together because this particular batch says, from Burlingame High School. So high school kids collected all these signatures. We would get golfers signing this. We didn't just go to Edgewood. We would go to like 10K runs and other sorts of little things like that. I went to runners' shops to make sure I knew where they were all going to be, because they have little magazines that they publish this kind of thing in. So we would get signatures, near Edgewood. We would do this. It always would be a tie. But it's anyone could sign this. Children signed it, third graders signed it, and wrote letters to the Board of Supervisors about it, which was wonderful. Let's see. So that was getting the public involved. Now, also the public could write letters, and one of our handouts would say, "Write letters. It works." And then it would have a news story, the latest thing from the local paper on whatever had just happened to bring people up to date, and then something they could do about it, write letters, etc. So we organized this petition gathering. We were there every Saturday and Sunday except when there was a monsoon. Here's what this kind of thing looks like. This was, I think, our first one. Or it might have been this one. But anyway, Sunset entrance. Who's going to do it? Chris Romano from 10 to 2, 9 to 12, Carol Zabel on Sunday. The park and ride, which is, over there. Ken Himes from 9 to 11, and then I would pick it up after that, and etc. Sunday it would be a different person. So we had about 20 or 30 of us just within Native Plant Society who would be willing to stand out there for 2 hours and get signatures. But we would also have a sign-up sheet for volunteers who wanted to join us. And so we grew to 100 volunteers, rather fast, who were willing to do this. I was the one that, organized it, and it was all on the phone, folks. This was 1991. So I had this, which is what you had in those days. You had a phone and you had lists of everybody. Volunteers on their own. Ken Himes, John Allen, Steve Mink, and Julia Bott, who did our press release, which I'll talk about. Steve Buckhout, Brenda Butner, bless her heart, Ellie Hess, ditto. Jan Simpson, who gave us the original alarm in the first place about the golfers getting organized again. That's the hardest of hardcore. Boy, nothing happens without people like that. Let's see. So that was the in the park, or the different entrances and other places every weekend from 9 until 3 or so. And that was, I had had a background in politics. I didn't just invent this. I worked in a congressional campaign that was 1979 and 80, this long shot grassroots candidate. She was a Seventh-day Adventist speech pathologist. And she had almost beaten a 9-term incumbent with no help from anybody in 78. So then all these people piled on board, including the National Party. But 1980 was not a good year for people like her. But anyway, 18 months I worked in that campaign, 6 counties, all the way up to the Oregon border. 8 hours to drive from one end to the other. No data. It was all on the phone. Yeah. So anyway, I was the volunteer coordinator, coordinating the volunteers, paid staff, and we had 1,000 volunteers, and they were knocking on doors and getting out the vote and things like that, showing up at county fairs, all this organizing, raising money, the hard part. So anyway, I could put that to work on something like this, and I've put that to work on other things as well in this realm. So anyway, I knew how to organize, and it's just work. You just get in there and do it. It was fun, though. We knew we were going to win. We had CEQA on our side, the Environmental Quality Act, although laws are no good unless they're enforced, and they won't be enforced unless there is pressure to enforce them. And that was our job, is to build up the pressure. Another thing we did was the press. We had a very talented person, Julia Bott, making a press kit for us, which were these, and inside you will see our badge, sort of a list of what's in the kit, a little something on the coalition, etc. Coalition members, always kept up to date. By the way, let me read this quickly. Oh, this is only 23. Audubon Society, 2 chapters. CNPS, 2 chapters plus the state. Bay Area Action Committee for Green Foothills. Citizens Committee to complete the refuge. That's the Bay. Friends of Redwood City. Greenbelt Alliance. Palomar Park Garden Club. Peninsula Conservation Center. Peninsula Relief. Runners for Edgewood Park. Kind of a made-up group, but we knew we had runners. San Francisco Mycological Society. San Mateo County Horsemen's Association, Save the Watershed Committee, Sierra Club, Loma Prieta chapter, later we got the other ones, Trail Center, Western Hort, Woodside Atherton Garden, the garden clubs were great. Woodside Atherton Garden Club, you know who that is? Those are the wives of the movers, very nice people to have on your side, let's say. So anyway, on this side there was an article on how great Edgewood is. There was a bumper sticker in there. So we had a press conference, and that's where the reporter Cindy Chornas said, we had those pictures. She said, where is this place? And we said, 30 miles from here. And then we told people to write letters to the editor and how to do that, not just to the Board of Soups, but to the editor. And those were always fun to read. The golfers, of course, were doing that as well, but ours were better. Ours were funnier and snappier. And also, the thing about the golfers is it was always like the same 10 or 20 people showing up. We never knew who was going to show up to the Board of Soups meetings. We would just say, there's a meeting, come. And it would be different people every time saying different things every time. And it was with them, it was the same old stuff, over and over, same people, over and over. And that didn't escape notice. So anyway, we persisted, and eventually the 5 supervisors, we got 1 convert in December of that year, and then another, and then there was an election in 92, And here we were with our 200,000 members and our 41 organizations and our 12 businesses, local, very much within the congressional district. So some people switched. And then came a setback, which was we thought we'd won. Wonderful, congratulations. They gave me a plaque. Then we had this upset, which was the Parks Commission voted 3-2 to say, well, maybe we should look at a golf course after all. And we thought, oh, we just showed you that you can't put a golf course on here because it's wooded, 2/3 of it, where you can't do that. And the part that's flat has rare species that are protected. We told you this. So they got the parks people to do that. And the thing is, the golfers had been organizing them, and we had taken them for granted. That was a mistake. But anyway, we got busy again with our usual outreach. By now, we're a year into this struggle, this part of it. And we kept at it. It ground on. The county authorized, what is that company, to do a study of can you put a golf course, et cetera, for which they paid $25,000, which was a lot of money 30 years ago. And then they presented this at a great big huge Board of Soups meeting. Boy, what a turnout. And the paid people said, you can't really put a golf course there because of the endangered species. And so that was that. Then the question was, how do you prevent this kind of thing from keep happening? Because we'd had this out-of-court settlement in the 80s as well. So the way you do that, one way, is to get more than one organization in charge of the place. Well, we'd had that all along because Mid-Penn had put up a quarter of the money and the county had put up a quarter of the money. So instead of Mid-Penn being this silent partner that did nothing, they rewrote the joint powers agreement. The Board of Supervisors had changed personnel. That helped too. And so two of the new people who were firmly on our side saw to it that the joint powers agreement was rewritten so that they both shared authority. So that way you don't have one swayable entity running amok or whatever might happen. And that's another way, is tie it up with organizations so that nothing can happen, nothing can change, which can be a good thing. So then we could celebrate, and the Save Edgewood Park Coalition went out of business. It had accomplished its task, and many of the same people hung around for the Friends of Edgewood Natural Preserve, and long may it live.